Hey, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Michelle. And Lisa, okay, I don't mean to embarrass you, but has there ever been a time when you tried to build something without using the instructions and you ended up with a huge mess?
Well, a few weeks ago, I tried to build a shelf for myself, and I thought I was following the instructions. But when I got to the end, I had one piece left over, so I hope it stays standing.
Oh, I hope it stays standing too. Just like you needed the instructions to help you build your shelf, we need God to instruct and guide us in our own lives.
Yeah, it's true, and we're gonna hear a Bible story now where Jesus' disciples learn this lesson, that working without Jesus doesn't work. Let's watch today's God story.
Where do you learn to make banana splits? At Sunday school. Hey everyone, I'm Karmyn. Today I want to tell you about a time that I was cooking carrots. Chopped them up, put them in the pot, put the water in, turned it on, and then I went to check my email, text my friend, and then I smelled something horrible, and I realized I forgot that I was cooking carrots. I ran down the stairs, the smoke alarm had gone off, and all I could see was a black pot of burnt carrots. This story totally reminds me of today's God story. The disciples were doing something kind of absent-mindedly, and then something unexpected happened, and they learned a huge lesson. And this lesson is today's big idea. Working without Jesus doesn't work. Today, we are going to look at what Jesus and the people closest to him did after he was raised from the dead. You might remember that before Jesus died on the cross, Peter denied even knowing Jesus. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. But let's talk about Jesus first. For starters, he appeared to his disciples and other people after he rose from the dead, and today's story is about one of those times that he met with his disciples. The disciples were by the Sea of Galilee: Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael, James, John, and 2 other disciples. Peter said to them, "I'm going out to fish." Peter used to be a fisherman, and this is what he knew how to do. It was his work before he met Jesus. And since Peter had denied knowing Jesus 3 times before Jesus died, he might have been trying to figure out if he was even still considered one of his disciples. Peter probably had a lot of different emotions. Anyway, Peter said he was going to go fishing, and the disciples decided to go with him. They got in a boat and they fished all night. And they didn't catch anything. For anyone, especially people who fished for a living, this would have been so frustrating. But then something unexpected happened. Let's read it. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. He called out to them, "Friends, don't you have any fish?" "No," they answered. He said, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat. There you will find some fish." When they did, they could not pull the net into the boat. There were too many fish in it. Let's pause there for a second. These disciples fished all night. They must have been so tired and frustrated and disappointed. And they had no fish to show for it. But then Jesus shows up, gives them an instruction, and bam, they had more fish than they knew what to do with. After this, John says, "It's the Lord." After this miraculous catch, they know that it's Jesus. And Peter, learning this, jumps in the water and runs to Jesus. The rest of the disciples follow back to shore in the boat, where they see that Jesus has made a fire with some fish and bread for them to eat. Jesus tells them to go back to their boat and grab some of the fish they have caught so they can cook more. When Peter jumped in the boat to get more fish, he realized there was 153 fish, and the net didn't even rip. That in itself was a miracle. Jesus fed them bread and fish for breakfast. What a cool breakfast that would have been. And it was at this point the disciples knew for sure that this was Jesus. Jesus spent time with them, and this was the 3rd time he had appeared to his disciples after he'd been raised from the dead. Let's back up there for a second. These disciples were fishing all night long, and they caught nothing. 0 fish. Nada. Zippo. Zilch. They must have been so tired and frustrated and disappointed by this point. They witnessed the truth of the big idea. Working without Jesus doesn't work. You see, up until this point before Jesus died, the disciples were always with Jesus. Jesus, doing what he told them to do. And now suddenly, Jesus wasn't with them anymore and they had to do life on their own, and it simply wasn't the same. But then they see someone on the shore. They aren't totally sure who it is, but he calls out to them and tells them to put their net on the other side of the boat. I can imagine at this point, some of the disciples must have been thinking, well, how is that going to help? Moving our net a few meters? But sure enough, they catch more fish than they could have ever expected. And that's when they realized that this was Jesus. They could see that the work done with Jesus was so much better than the work they tried to do on their own. This is great news. With Jesus, our efforts and our work have much more worth, and the results are better. Jesus is in heaven now, but he has sent his Holy Spirit. This is like having Jesus with us all the time. So we can know that through the Holy Spirit, we have Jesus helping us with whatever work we have to do. Because working without Jesus doesn't work, let's do everything we do with Jesus. Well, I've got to go. I'll see you next time.
Quickly turn to the person next to you and answer the following questions. I said quickly.
Question time. What part of the story stood out to you the most? What do you think it would have been like to have breakfast with Jesus? When the disciples realized that it was Jesus on the beach, how do you think they felt? Game time! Candy chaos. How many times can you say the key verse before things get messy? Say it with me. When the name of Jesus is spoken, everyone will kneel down to worship him. Everyone's mouth will say that Jesus Christ is Lord. Philippians 2, verse 10 to 11. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go!
What I'm taking from this is that listening to Jesus can sound like a small suggestion, like taking your net and throwing it on the other side of the boat, but it could have a huge impact on your life.
Just like when you're baking a cake or doing a science experiment, if you change just one ingredient or one of the elements you're using, it can turn into a total disaster.
Yeah, you're gonna love the next video. A few of our friends went to go see Radioactive Rob. Let's see what he's up to.
I'm Radioactive Rob, and I do science shows for kids, and I love doing this because the joy really comes from the reaction and the excitement that the science gives to other kids. And seeing what happens when you do things, sometimes things you're not supposed to do. I love making parents cringe when I let their kids make a mess, and it's part of my job to do that. We're going to do an experiment where we're gonna explode stuff. I think, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Let's find out what happens. I'm planning on blowing this balloon up and then lighting it on fire.
That's good. Stop.
Oh, you want me to stop?
Yeah, because it's so big.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh! We're gonna do this experiment one more time. Okay, it's basically a water balloon. What? Look, over here, it has a burn mark on the balloon. The fire was touching the exact same thing it touched before, the outside of the balloon that's completely dry. The water did help protect the balloon, but not in the way you think. Usually wet things can't catch on fire, but water conducts energy so quickly that the heat energy got sucked into the water and the balloon itself didn't get hot enough to pop. I love to associate different things with reminding me about God and about Jesus. And it's really fun to pop balloons with lighters, you know, and that's like sin missing the mark. Things start exploding, and then the water protects us, and we even use water in baptism. How cool is that? Like God made water to show us his amazing wonders. Okay, so Daniel, he has a hobby. He likes to make bubbles, right? Yes, okay. Who's ready for some bubble science action? Yes. Here comes our bubble. Here comes Bob, and then all you gotta do is hold Bob and get Oh, this is Bob number 2.
Bob, Billy Bob.
Bob number. Okay, that was short-lived.
Billy Bob.
Okay, Bob. Oh man, it keeps on popping. But we want to solve this problem. We want the bubble and our friend to be friends. So I brought some secret things over here. So we're gonna put this on, and we're gonna do this kind of action, like majestic. Not too fast, not like that, but like majestic. And don't do this. Don't smack yourself in the head, okay? All right, here we go. Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Bouncing the bubbles in our hands is really neat. And that shows us that we need the right tools or protection to do certain stuff. When the bubble touches our hands, it pops. But with the gloves to protect it, it stays a beautiful round bubble. To me, it speaks of the fact that we need Jesus and his protection to handle situations in life the right way and not allow it to pop or explode in our faces. Now, for this demo, I'm going to grab Malachi by the shoulders and maybe by the leg as well. And I'm gonna lift him up all the way above my head. I'm gonna go on my tippy toes as high as possible. And then to demonstrate gravity, I'm gonna let go of him really quickly and we're gonna see what happens.
He's gonna fall.
Malachi, does this sound like a good idea? Does that sound like a good idea? Okay, how about we do this? How about you do it with this foam ball? Does that sound good? Okay, I'm gonna count to 3 and we're gonna let go of the ball. Ready, everybody? 1, 2, 3. And the gravity works. Now, Malachi's job is to make the ball float in the air. So how can he do it? He has to battle gravity. Okay, so here we go. And you have to blow, give it all your might. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, if at first we don't succeed, try again. Big breath, and go. Woo! Very good. Take a big breath, do it again. And I didn't hear any clapping, cheering. There we are. Everywhere you look, God's teaching us things. So blowing in the straw is like us praying and helping others. But as soon as we stop blowing in the straw, the ball falls down. That's like when we lose our connection and we're like, what's wrong? Why am I so upset? And so blowing in the straw is like being connected with God and keeping that afloat.
Yes, well done.
Hey, that was pretty cool. Did you know that you could stop a bubble from popping just by wearing gloves?
Actually, I did know that, and that helps to illustrate today's point. Because the kids followed Radioactive Rob's instructions, the experiment worked.
Yeah, and that ties into today's big idea that working without Jesus doesn't work. So let's get into our small groups now to see what that looks like in our own lives.